Brave New World, Iron Maiden's 12th album, is a complete new start for Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden got back Bruce Dickinson, they didn't get Martin Birch, but they got Bruce Dickinson, Adrian Smith, and Derek Riggs. They're all back, and the music just feels like it's such a new, fresh start for the band. They got rid of Blaze Bayley, and they phoned up Bruce Dickinson, and he agreed that he would come back, and so did Adrian. Also, Derek Riggs is doing the artwork. It just feels like they're going back to classic Iron Maiden. And this is definitely one of the best albums of the sort of new era of Iron Maiden. This album also starts the 3-guitar lineup because they did not kick out Yannick Gers. So you have Yannick, Adrian, and Dave. And this is the album where I think this 3-guitar lineup works best. It would also work on the next album and for the other albums until maybe about Final Frontier, where I think the 3-guitar lineups started not working as well. But the 3-guitar lineup works so well. Adrian's back, so the solos are just a lot better, feel a lot more like classic Maiden, feel like 80s Maiden, which is just so good, feels so refreshing to have some really, really good guitar solos. And the production is done by Kevin Shirley, not by Martin Birch, who retired. And Kevin Shirley's just an amazing, amazing producer. Everything just sounds so melodic, it sounds so clean, it's going back to that epic feel, which is something that Iron Maiden haven't done for a long time at this point. And the whole style of this album is just completely up Bruce's alley. Bruce is just singing really, really high, really, really good. This is the last time I think Bruce was at a very good vocal peak. After this, he would still turn in good performances, but this just feels so refreshing and so new from Bruce. And the rest of the production's amazing as well. The guitars sound great, the bass is great, and Nico and the drums also sound great. Now, let's talk about a bit about the history of metal at this time. Now, metal was basically almost kind of dead at this point. The media, everything, they thought that metal was dead. But then Iron Maiden released Brave New World, the best comeback album of the decade, or since the 2000 of the new millennium, I suppose. And it just feels such a new start, and feels like it revived not just Iron Maiden, but the whole metal genre. This is the start of sort of metal coming back, and it would take a while, but a lot of other metal bands would also come back in the future of the 21st century. Now, the artwork, the top half is done by Derek Riggs, and the bottom half, the CGI half, is done by Steve Stone, and they work together very well. It's good to see Iron Maiden using some really bright colors, using the blue, the whole blue thing just works so well. It feels new, you know, like Brave New World, with the CGI, but it doesn't feel like, oh, that's just CGI, that's not as good. The actual painting and the CGI work together really well, so I really like the artwork done by Derek Riggs. Another few things I want to mention before I get into the track list is Rock in Rio. Rock in Rio's one of the best concerts that Iron Maiden has ever done, and it's definitely the best concert that they've done of the 21st century. And on the Brave New World tour, it was just so amazing. What a great concert. Also, another thing to mention is that also the chorus retardation that we were introduced to on Virtual 11. First album to really hit home with the chorus retardation. This album is almost 70 minutes long, so it's not as long as the X Factor, which was their longest album at this point, but it is way too long, and almost all the songs feel like they repeat a little bit too much. However, it's not a very big problem on this particular album, just because the music's so good. I don't mind listening to a few more chorus repeats, so it would become a bigger problem much later down Iron Maiden's career, but it's really, the chorus retardation is starting to get pretty bad at this point. So the first track is The Wickerman, and finally, as soon as that guitar riff comes in, you know, Iron Maiden is reborn. They're coming out of that period of the late 90s where Iron Maiden were commercially so bad, and as soon as you hear the opening guitar riff, bam, Iron Maiden is back, and they're back with a vengeance. And this song is just absolutely amazing. Probably one of Iron Maiden's best openers, like, ever. And it's a really short and sweet song, you know, it's not too long. Good guitar solo in there. and it's just really fast and heavy, and that's what I want from the Iron Maiden opener, to be honest. Just come in with some fast, heavy stuff, and I'm gonna love it. So, great opener, Wickerman. Really catchy, too. Then we go into Ghost of the Navigator, which kind of slows it down a bit, which I always like when, you know, you have a fast opener and then kind of slows it down to have some more dynamics in the album. I always thought that was a good way to do it. And it has a really catchy chorus too, so it's not just slow the whole way. But this is the first track with the chorus retardation. But again, the opening section is just amazing. And also, it has a great solo too. So yeah, great song, one of the better ones on this album. And then we move on to Brave New World, the title track, which is honestly one of the weaker songs on this album. Chorus repeats way too many times, and it just feels a bit generic. Feels like a bit of a generic gallop. Doesn't feel that original, and bit of a weak chorus that's just repeated too many times. But it's not too bad, and it's not too long either. And then we move on to Blood Brothers. Now let's talk about a topic of Iron Maiden epics in the 21st century. Now, because they have so many long songs due to the chorus retardation, it's kind of hard to see what the epic is when you're just looking at the track list. I personally consider this Blood Brothers the epic because it's the only song written solely by Steve Harris. And I don't know if it counts, if Steve Harris co-writes it, that can count as an epic. But basically, on every album in the 21st century, there would be one track that would be written solely by Steve Harris. So I've just always seen that track as the epic, even though there are longer tracks on this album, like Dream of Mirrors. But anyway, that's my opinion. Actually talking about the music, Blood Brothers, it's a great intro, and it's honestly one of the best tracks on this album. It has a great guitar line, and yeah, a bit of the chorus retardation, but it's just a really good song. Bruce's vocals are just amazing on this track. I love Bruce's vocal performance, and everything else just make this a great epic, a really powerful chorus too. Just great track, absolutely brilliant. And then the next track is The Mercenary, and The Mercenary's a bit of a shorter track, has a pretty catchy chorus, and is one of a few of the shorter, more sort of straight to the point kind of tracks, and I do quite like those. You know, an album that's just keeps 6-7 minute song after another. It's kind of good to go back to a sort of 4.5 minute song that's just a bit faster and straight to the point, and I actually quite like this song. But it's not one of the better ones. Doesn't have anything that special, but feels pretty refreshing on the album at this point. And then the next track is Dream of Mirrors, which some people would consider the epic, even though I personally don't. And personally, I think the opening is a little bit awkward. I'm not really sure where it's going. It just doesn't feel like it works. The sort of opening 2 or 3 minutes doesn't really know where it's going. But sort of halfway through, it starts getting really fast, and it starts getting really good. Really good chorus. Everyone's performing great. And it's a little bit lyrically repetitive, but I can forgive that because this is actually a really good song, and I really like it. And then the next track is Fallen Angel, and this is one of the other more fast, straight to the point ones. And yeah, I really like it too. Has a good guitar line and has a great solo, which is just what I love, makes a good track good, you know. And yeah, good track. Moving on to the Nomad. Nomad is honestly one of the weaker ones on this album. Has a bit of a weak chorus, and just nothing really that special. Does the chorus retardation thing, and it's not really that catchy either. It's okay catchy, but it's not like just amazing. It's not really powerful like some of the other tracks are, and it doesn't really do anything to grab your attention, is another way of thinking of it. And then we move on to my favorite track on this album, which is Out of the Silent Planet. Now, Out of the Silent Planet is just absolutely amazing. This track, oh, I don't even know what to say. It's just so good. Comes in with the coolest intro Iron Maiden have ever done. It's just really good guitar line. Honestly, this song I think has Bruce Dickinson's best vocal performance on this album. With the sort of harmonizing his vocals makes the chorus feel so powerful. It's like almost magical. You feel your spine tingling when you listen to this song. I love it too much. I love it a lot. And even though it has the kind of kind of somber intro, it gets really, really fast and really, really powerful too. Has some great lyrics and some great solo too. Absolutely best track on this album. And then we move on to the final track, which is The Thin Line Between Love and Hate. And this is another really, really good track. I really like this. It's a little bit too long, but it has a pretty good guitar line and feels really epic too. A really epic way to end the album. And yeah, good guitar line, good drums, all that stuff. Really catchy chorus, and Bruce really shows off his range on the chorus, you know, hitting some really high notes, some notes that I don't think he would be able to do on the albums after Brave New World. And yeah, just like that, the album is over. Now, besides the chorus retardation, which is the most obvious problem with this album, my main other problem is that compared to some of the stuff they were doing in the 80s, and even on one other occasion, Matter of Life and Death, it feels a bit safe. It doesn't feel like Iron Maiden were just going all out and making something a bit more original. But this is quite understandable, because between the release of Virtual Eleven and Brave New World, there was only 2 years as opposed to 3 years previously. And they obviously switched back to Bruce Dickinson, and so it's easy to understand they would just want to go back to sort of really classic Maiden style, just really upbeat. And it is a really amazing album. Great performance from everyone, and it marks the rebirth of Iron Maiden, and even the rebirth of metal at this point. And yeah, Iron Maiden just feels reborn. They feel rejuvenated. They feel like they're coming back with a vengeance. And that's what I absolutely love about this album. Overall, just a brilliant classic Maiden album, and I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 later.